First of all, welcome to the channel and thank you for stopping by. When time permits, please consider subscribing. I would greatly appreciate it. Now, I've reviewed both of these helmets before, the Scorpion AT960 and the Scorpion AT950. And I thought I'd just take a few minutes to go over the differences, because while they are about 90% the same helmet, there are some key differences and the changes aren't necessarily good ones, in my opinion. You can decide for yourself. This is the Scorpion AT960, their latest modular adventure helmet. And let's go over the changes to it that are positive first. The primary change that is improved is we do have slightly better ventilation. Not significantly, but it does indeed flow more air than the AT950. Now, wow, that's it. That is the only improvement on this helmet. There is absolutely, everything else remains unchanged, or unfortunately, in my opinion, is a downgrade, some more significant than others. Whew, man, I hate to do this. The most significant change, in my opinion, is this right here. This is not a great mechanism. It's difficult to move with gloves on. It appears to be difficult to move the warmer out it is, and it just doesn't feel great. And that's because we no longer have a large, easily moved mechanism. I know that they made that change so that we could have the lock, but unfortunately it would have been a whole lot better to have the lock somewhere else, anywhere else, than having it where you had your fantastic mechanism to bring the sunshade up and down. The second significant change that I feel impacts your actual use of the helmet is here. This mechanism is a button you have to push. And when you first push on it, it's hard to get in there and actually push it. Again, with gloves on. Now, on the AT950, take a look at this. You just slide your finger in, there's plenty of room, and you just pull. It just works. This is significantly better, easier to use. Winter gloves, you will get it in there, you will open this up immediately. I haven't had my heaviest winter gloves on and brought the Modular up. I'm really not looking forward to it. The next change, which doesn't technically affect your use of the helmet, will perhaps create an annoyance that doesn't exist on the old version. They've cut down the thickness of the plastic here. This peak is very easily moved, very easily bent, and it absolutely does this when you're going down the highway at highway speeds. If you are someone who prefers to keep the peak on, that's going to bother you. Just to give you an idea, I'm moving this harder than I did that, and it doesn't move. It moves very little. There's a little bit of shift to it, but this is significantly heavier plastic. It's much more stable than the peak on the AT960. The last significant change is not necessarily bad. It all depends on your tolerance for heat or your tolerance for cold and when you're riding. This is new. This is a neoprene neck gaiter, and it does exactly what it's intended to do. It keeps air from getting into the back and the sides of the helmet. In the winter, fantastic. In the summer, in a helmet that already doesn't breathe well, not ideal. As you can see, there aren't that many differences, but they are significant because two of them are absolutely functional. You want to get your visor up and down, your sun visor, and you want to open that helmet easily, neither of which you can do on the new model. For me, that makes the decision between these two helmets the AT950 or the AT960, absolutely clear. I could not recommend buying this helmet if you can buy an AT950 for even the same price. It's simply an easier to use helmet. It feels like the mechanisms are a little bit better. I didn't mention it earlier, but there is a difference in the mechanisms for closing. They're equally smooth and they seem to work equally as well despite being different. I don't think that's going to have a negative or a positive effect. But you are absolutely going to recognize that that latch opening the modular on an AT960 doesn't work well, and it never works well. It's always hard to get your glove in there. It's always hard to move it. I have 10,000 miles on mine. I've opened it hundreds and hundreds of times. It's just as stiff and difficult to work as the day I got the helmet. And that's doubly true for the sun visor. I cannot tell you how easy it is to just put your finger up there and open and close the sun visor on an AT950. And then this is not only in a bad location, I stand by it's a bad mechanism. Add to the fact that you can get this helmet right now for $180 and this helmet is $289. I wouldn't recommend even considering the AT960 as long as the colorway you want is available in the AT950. As long as they have them, pick those. All right, if you stuck around, I appreciate it, and take care. Now, this is from 2018 and it's been dinged and injured, etc. So we're going to review my experience with this helmet, but let's take a look at a newer one. And some people complain about the weight. I'll put that up on the screen, and it is not a light helmet. And in no way, shape, or form is this going to compete with a $600 helmet or even a $500 helmet. But it's honestly not that heavy. If you are familiar at all with the Scorpion AT950, this is going to seem very familiar. However that helmet fit you, this helmet will fit you. And yes, that does include the fact that all Scorpion helmets come with cheek pads that just pretty much chipmunk cheek you. But you get used to that after a while and it does give way. However, ECE rating now requires them to put a lock on to enable you to ride with this open. I don't even know if you can do that in the United States, but right here they have placed this little lock. If you need to, for some reason, you can ride with that fully open. And according to the European Union, I'm not sure about the Department of Transportation, but according to them, you'll be just fine. It moves in the wind, buffets itself. I think they were saving some money there and it really didn't work out. The feature that it brings over, cancel all of that. Oh, wow, this one's much harder than the other one.